Welcome back. If you're just joining us, you're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television. A reminder of our major stories. Former military head of state, General Ibrahim Babangida, distances himself from a statement credited to him advising President Muhammadu Buhari not to seek re-election come 2019. 3 persons reportedly killed by suspected herdsmen in a community in Song local council area of Adamawa State. Atlas Lions of Morocco win the 5th edition of the African Nations Championship in Casablanca, and that's the first time since the tournament began. Thousands of Greeks stormed the streets of Athens in protest against another country calling itself Macedonia. For more on our top stories and others, just check out our website. It's channelstv.com and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to m.channelstv.com to watch us on your mobile device or download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows devices from their respective stores. And there's something else you can do. The Channels TV and Channels 24 app will give you access to news and updates. You also have the Eyewitness feature with which you can share those pictures, videos, or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the menu and follow the instructions. The Nigerian army troops have rescued 84 people held hostage by Boko Haram insurgents at Camp Zairo and handed them over to the Borno State Emergency Management Agency. The latest breakthrough comes days after security forces cleared a major hideout of the terrorists in Borno State, recovering a military tank and other weapons. Some of the women were found while the children looked malnourished. After being freed from the heavily guarded camp, they were flown to the air component of Operation Lafia Dole in Maiduguri. The theater commander of Operation Lafia Dole, Major General Rogers Nicholas, says most of them are tasting freedom for the first time, years after the abduction.
In the course of our operation yesterday evening and early hours of this morning, we've been able to dislodge the Boko Haram from some part of the Camp Zero camps. In the Camp Zero is a very big place, so there are various camps in the Camp Zero area. We've been able to dislodge them completely out of those places. And in the course of this action, we came across this large number of people, children, women, and elderly people that the Boko Haram have kept against their will. And the place was heavily protected by armed men of the Boko Haram. Our brave soldiers, in conjunction with the support of the Air Force, was able to dislodge and kill all the Boko Haram members that were within that camp to be able to rescue this large number of people that are seen here. Over 80 of them. Some of them are currently receiving treatment in the hospital in the Air Force base here.
Still on security matters, but this time in Ekiti State, where the police command is on a manhunt for a former leader of the Odua People's Congress in the state. He was alleged to have attacked a member of the group and damaged a car belonging to the incumbent coordinator after a political rally held within the state. Mr. Adedipe was one of those recently released by the Ado-Ekiti High Court after over 3 years in detention.
Members of the All Progressives Congress in Ekiti State had recently staged a rally within the state capital to celebrate the freedom of Ni Adedipe and his friends. They are also protesting the alleged witch hunt of a former governor of the state, Dr. Kaide Fayemi, by the incumbent governor through a government-wide paper barring him from holding any public office in the state.
No law under the Federation of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that gives power to any executive arm of government to bar anybody from holding public office.
Shortly after the rally, the recently released Adedipe is already being linked to another attack.
On their way coming, they are doing cutlass and stone, stick and chas and gun. There are plenty. come front. He say, why should I want to kill him? I say, I see so many, there are so many, so that I run.
I just saw them, they enter with a cutlass, stone, and what's so called hammer, and a gun, bottle, everything like that. What happened? Before I know, something that they continue to beating me.
Confirming the incident, the State Police Command promises to carry out its investigations as the state government vows to get to the root of the matter.
So a case of assault occasioning harm, conspiracy and malicious damage had already been incidented and is currently under investigation.
I knew this will start as soon as we have elections in view. So for me, we'll keep our fingers crossed, watch turn of events, but I'm sure, and I want to assure you, anybody meant for prison will be in prison.
For now, the whereabouts of Ni Adedipe are unknown, even as security operatives are on his trail. Perhaps the only way he can exonerate himself is to come out and defend himself against all the allegations so that he can continue to enjoy his freedom, which came after 3 years behind bars.
The government of Rivers State has set a 5-month deadline for the reconstruction of dilapidated secondary schools in 2 local government areas. Governor Nyesom Wike gave the directive after inspecting facilities at both schools, which have been in steady decline for several decades, and the government is seeking to bring them up to required standards. Our correspondent Imara Ray tells us more.
The condition of this chemistry laboratory perhaps is the long and short of the state of the Western Aoda County Grammar School, first built in 1957. Proper learning has eluded this school for decades, and the people are delighted as the governor arrives for the flag-off of his reconstruction.
The Eastern Nigerian government established this school, and since then, nothing much has been done in terms of upgrading or renovation of the structures within the complex.
Governor Wike is, however, not pleased with persons who allegedly took advantage of the neglected state of the school to encroach on its property.
Thank you for encroaching on the school land. Thank you for building on the school land. I will not demolish the building. I will fence off where you have built and it becomes school property. You believe that you can do anything, there is no law, nothing will happen, it's a lie. Something will happen.
On another day in Ubima community of Ikwere local government area, the students of this school have had to endure buildings, many of which have become abodes of rodents and snakes. The governor is led by a former governor, Celestine Omeya, and other community leaders to see things for themselves.
This school used to house people from Ozoha, Omawa, and Omademe. But because of the deteriorating state of the buildings, many children left, and these other communities started building their own, and we lost. God,
the Holy Spirit.
Governor Wike demands that the project be completed in 5 months.
Also be assured that we will seriously look into the other problems which you have told us here. The one of the transformer is granted. The one of the road, we'll look into it.
According to the state government, more communities that have suffered neglect in the area of education will also be visited with a view to addressing the challenge. Emmanuel Irei, Channels Television News.
Residents of an estate in the New Okoba area of Lagos State have been living with the menace of fumes and the stench coming from an abattoir in their neighborhood. Channels Television visited the area in 2015 when the residents first voiced out their complaints. And now our correspondent, John Mekwa, went back to that community and reports that the situation remains the same.
And the Ministry of Agriculture, together with LASEPA, we have developed what we call an environmental management plan for that place. and we're working seriously on how it is going to be implemented. And that's why I said before the end of first quarter of 2016, you will see a lot of changes in that place.
That was in 2015 when the then General Manager of Lagos State Environmental Protection Agency, Engineer Adebola Shabi, was responding to the complaints of residents of Moke Oyeledun Estate in New Okoba on their plight as neighbors with an abattoir. Three years later, it seems nothing has changed.
I moved into this house 2016 when I just got married, and the first thing I noticed was that the house was really black because nobody had taken the apartment at first, and I was wondering what was happening, but I didn't get any information from anybody, so we paid for the house and we moved in. After some days, I noticed this terrible smoke.
Now, some of the tenants do not want to come to this area again. You know that some of us are the landlords. We don't have any means of livelihood. This is the only means of our livelihood. And since the tenants are not living in this place, still government will come, we pay land use, we pay tenement rate or whatever. How can we pay all those things when tenants are not living in our houses because of the horrible order we're perceiving in this area?
Once again, Channels Television takes the issue to LASEPA, and the acting general manager gives an explanation.
We discovered that we have these cart pushers, scavengers that goes around to collect all sorts of raw materials. And after collection of the raw materials, they proceed to recover iron metal from such raw materials. Thereby they burn the rubbers to be able to pull out the iron. So the fumes they are now perceiving is not from the activities of the abattoir per se.
Whether a change in the way operations are carried out at the abattoir or an intervention by the Lagos State government, one obvious fact is that there is a need for an urgent action to curb the air pollution going on in the New Okoba area to avoid the consequences, which is mostly but not limited to health hazards. Ini John Mekwa reporting for Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, our community report tonight looks at a community in Bauchi State situated on a rocky mountain. Join us again.